Hello students, in the today's class we are going to have a look at undamped vibration absorber. Okay, so it is vibration absorber. It ensures that vibration of mass, that is motion of the mass, is limited, or it can even be approximately zero. However, we are not using any damping into it. So how do we do that? Okay, so that is something that we are going to talk about, and in this we are going to use whatever that we have just now studied about 2 degree of freedom system. So this is undamped vibration absorber, that is our today's topic. And in that okay, initially assume that there is a spring mass system. Okay, so there is this mass m1, okay, which is, let me call it as a primary mass, or the mass, and that of which we are interested in keeping the displacement of which in the limit. Okay, and let this be the spring stiffness k1, okay, which is, and just assume that this is the main spring mass system. Okay, so or you can say that there is a certain machine which you are approximated by a single degree of freedom system, and in which m1 is the mass of that machine, equivalent mass of that machine, and k1 is the stiffness, and it is acted upon, let's say, by a force system. Okay, which is, this is f1, okay, which is equal to f0 cosine omega t. Okay, let's assume that f1, which is harmonic in nature, is acting onto it. Now you already know that for such kind of systems which don't have damping included into it, if this omega happens to be close to natural frequency of this spring mass system, then you are going to see excessively large amplitudes, ideally infinite amplitudes of steady state response, or for that sake a response of that system. And essentially what is going to happen is that there will be failure. And in order to kind of restrict that, what we do is, obviously adding damping is one solution, but there is another solution, which is this is that we are going to talk about, that is undamped vibration absorber, in which what we do is we attach a secondary system to it, which is again a spring mass system. Okay, another system that we attach to it, and let's say that this spring has got stiffness k2, and this mass is having m2 units, okay, of mass. This block has got m2 units of mass. So we are attaching this additional spring mass to this primary spring mass system that we already were having, and now we are going to make the system as a 2 degree of freedom system. And in that we already have seen in 2 degree of freedom system, motion, this response of this mass mass m1. Okay, if you try to plot that this thing, that is amplitude of steady state response, then that amplitude behaves something like this, right? So it goes to infinity, where you have natural frequencies of that system, and it cuts somewhere over here, which is having 0 amplitude. X1 is 0. This is amplitude of steady state part of displacement of this mass block 1. Okay, it can be exactly equal to 0 if you pick this appropriate omega by omega n1. Okay, if you do so, then this is what you get. Okay, so we already have seen this. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll be invoking it, we'll be trying to utilize this point to design this vibration absorber, and we'll be choosing this k2 and m2 in such a way that the frequency, let's say that this particular primary system that we are talking about is operating at certain frequency omega. Okay, so if you know this omega, then accordingly we'll be choosing value of k2 and m2 in such a way that motion of mass m1 is restricted. Okay, and it can be taken to 0. If it has to be 0, then what is the condition that is required to be satisfied? Okay, so that we are going to see in the today's class. Okay, now this is a simple 2 degree of freedom system, so you can pretty easily derive equation of motion for that. Okay, and in that, if you put approximation that x1 and x2, okay, uh, sorry, this x1 and x2, okay, which is the displacement vector, if it is equal to capital X1 capital X2 cosine omega t minus phi, okay, where capital X1, capital X2, this vector is the amplitude vector, and this is time dependence. Okay, so amplitude vector multiplied by this time dependence will give you steady state part of the displacement. We are only talking about steady state part of the displacement. Okay, so if you put this approximation in the differential equation is also pretty easy. So you can write it down in this way: m1 0 0 m2 x1 double dot, and this will be x2 double dot, this plus you have k matrix over here, which is k1 plus k2, then minus k2 here, minus k2 here, and here you have only k2 term appearing. Okay, this multiplied by x1 x2, this happens to be equal to f1, which is equal to f0 cosine of omega t, and 0. Okay, now there is no any forcing acting onto this second block. Okay, so that's why it is 0. Okay, we already have solved a similar case in the previous classes. Okay, so we'll be having a relook at that once again. However, I won't be solving it completely. So what you will be doing is you can try it out at your end. So what you have to do is you have to plug in this approximation, okay, in this set of differential equations. Okay, and if you do so, then what you get is k1 plus k2. This will be one intermediate equation that you will get. Okay, I'll simply write down that equation directly. Okay, however, you can do it at your end. Okay, but if I try doing everything over here, it will unnecessarily end up eating a lot of our time, and also you will be really feeling bored listening to the same stuff again and again. Okay, so this is what is the amplitude vector. Okay, so amplitude vector pre-multiplied by this matrix comes out to be equal to force. Okay, force vector. Okay, so from that what you will be doing is, as we have done previously, you have to take inverse of it and pre-multiply by that inverse to this force vector, and then you get amplitudes. I'll write down amplitude x1 directly, okay, for you, which comes out to be equal to k2 minus omega square m1 divided by k1 plus k2 minus omega square m1. Then there is another bracket over here, minus k2 square. Okay, this is what is x1. x2 comes out to be equal to obviously f0 is over here, I have forgotten writing that f0. Okay, x2 comes out to be equal to k2 times f0 divided by k1 plus k2 minus omega square m1 k2 minus omega square m2 minus k2 square. Okay, so this is what is x1 and this is what is x2. You will be able to find out this. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll be putting certain terms over here, replacing certain terms. That is, I'll be introducing omega n, okay, which is natural frequency of our basic primary system, okay, which is equal to square root of k1 by m1. Okay, then omega a is the term that I am going to introduce over here, which is natural frequency of the secondary system that we are attaching, that is also called as an absorber, okay, which is equal to square root of k2 and m2. Okay, so this system which is sitting over here, okay, this additional system, okay, frequency of that, natural frequency of that is what is omega a. Okay, now delta st or xst, you can write down whatever you write down. Okay, so that will be equal to f0 by k1, okay, which is static deflection of our main primary system, and I'll be introducing a factor mu, okay, or you can call it lambda as well, okay, which is equal to m2 by m1. Okay, so ratio of mass 2, which is attached to primary mass 1. Okay, so now what we'll be doing is we'll be doing certain adjustments over here. Okay, we'll be taking out certain terms, for example k2 from this, and if I do so, and then I can write down x1. I'm writing it down directly. it comes out to be like this: 1 minus omega by omega a whole square, okay, where this omega a is square root of k2 over m2. So we are having actually omega a square in the denominator, which you can see from here. So if you take k2 out from this, then you get to see here as m1 by yeah, m1 by yes, I have made a mistake. It should have been m2. It's m2 over here. Okay, so if it is m2, then only you will get this thing omega I square sitting over there. Okay. So this term will come over here in the numerator together with f1 by k1, okay, which comes out to be equal to, that's f0 by k1, that comes out to be equal to xst divided by 1 plus mu times omega a by omega n square minus omega by omega n square. This bracket is completed, and there is another bracket which will look something like this upon having all these changes made: 1 minus omega by omega square, the bracket completed, multiplication of these two brackets, minus mu times omega a by omega n square. Okay, so this is what is going to be the amplitude of x1, that is primary mass, and amplitude of secondary mass, that comes out to be equal to xst divided by same stuff, that is 1 plus mu times omega a by omega n whole square minus omega by omega n square multiplied by 1 minus omega by omega a the whole square minus mu times omega a by omega n whole square. Okay, so these are amplitudes of primary mass and the secondary mass that we have obtained. Okay, now you will be able to see that secondary mass amplitude will not be 0 at any point of time, right? Because xst cannot be 0. It will be 0 only when this is infinite. Okay, otherwise this won't be 0, and this will not be infinite. I mean, unless and until omega is infinite. So for omega infinite, obviously you are going to get denominator infinite, and then everything is going to go to 0. Even x1 will be 0. So that's what we have seen. So when we have plotted our curves, so for x1 it looked something like this, right? Started and went over here to infinity, then from this side it started, crossed x-axis, and then went to infinity, then again it was like this, not like this, from here. Okay, so as omega progressed, we say that it is going to go to 0. Okay, so for omega infinity, this will cut x-axis. Okay, and for x2 it was like this. Right, so it is not cutting this x-axis for x2 anywhere, because x2 has got xst sitting over here. Okay, so xst is what? f0 by k1, so it will be 0 only when f0 is 0. Okay, so otherwise it cannot be. So which essentially means yeah, so this is how it is going to look like. Okay, so so what we are interested now is, we are interested in hitting this point, okay, where x1 is 0. And if you see to this expression of x1, you will be able to see that in the numerator you have this term, okay, which can make x1 0. And how this term can go to 0? This term can go to 0 when 1 minus omega by omega a square is 0. That is when omega by omega a comes out to be equal to 1, which essentially means that when omega is equal to omega a. Okay, so when omega is equal to omega a, that is when excitation frequency is exactly equal to natural frequency of the secondary system that we have added. Then in that case the vibration absorber will act in such a way that mass 1 will not have any displacement at all. Okay, so when omega by omega is equal to omega a, that is when omega by omega is 1, then you get to see that amplitude of mass number 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so this happens because will be having will look at it using our equations. Okay, so rather than telling you just like that, let's write down equations and we'll be able to see. Okay, let's assume that we are picking that thing, okay, that omega, where it is having exactly same value as that of omega a. Okay, so if it is so, then let's try to see what is the amplitude x1. It has to be equal to 0, and let's try to find out what is the amplitude of mass number 2. Okay, so in what you have to do is in this expression you have to insert omega equal to omega a. Okay, if you insert that value of omega which is equal to omega a, then what is the amplitude of mass number 2 that you are going to get? That will be equal to minus of omega n by omega a square multiplied by xst divided by mu. And if you again invoke all these terms then and simplify it further, then you will be able to find out that it comes out to be equal to f1 by k2. Okay, so x2 comes out to be equal to f1 by k2. Okay, so which essentially means okay, so I'll write it down further. Actual displacement x2, that will be equal to minus it's actually f0 not f1, not entire f1. So x2 will come out to be equal to minus f0 divided by k2 into cosine of omega t. Okay, and which tells you that what is k2x2, that is equal to minus f0 cosine of omega t. What is k2f2? K2x2, it is nothing but spring force, right? Spring force of this mass number 2 which is acting on to this system number 2 which is acting on to this mass number 1. Okay, and it is acting exactly in the opposite direction, okay, which is this direction, right? So which is exactly opposite of f0 cosine omega t. So if f0 cosine omega t is externally applied force, then the spring force which is acting onto it, okay, it's actually the negative spring force, and that acts on mass number 1 which is negative of it, so which comes out to be equal to this thing f0 cosine omega t. So these two forces, okay, the force which is acting on the mass because of the spring over here uh, which is there attached to the secondary spring mass system, and this force which is acting because of the externally applied forcing which is this f0 cosine omega t. So both of them are exactly equal and opposite. So since by adding your additional system, you are ensuring that you are you are kind of exerting a force on the mass which is opposite to externally applied load. So there is now no any force acting onto mass. Okay, so total force which acts onto mass is equal to 0. Okay, so there is no externally applied forcing. So if you take out that spring system, okay, the primary spring mass system, okay, this is the primary spring mass system. If you take it out, then there will be this force which is minus of f0 cosine omega t coming because of primary spring sorry, the secondary spring mass system, okay, which is this, which we have taken away. Okay, so you have taken it away, so its effect is this minus f0 cosine omega t which acts onto mass number 2, sorry, mass number 1, and on this you also have externally applied force, which is F0 cosine omega t. Okay, so both these forces which are acting onto it, okay, they are equal in magnitude and opposite in nature. So effectively mass 1 is not having any force acting onto it. Okay, so steady state part will not have any amplitude, because that there is no any force at all acting onto it, and therefore steady state part will be 0. Okay, so mass number 1 will not move at all. However, mass number 2 is moving. So what is happening is that by adding this additional spring mass system, what you are going to do is, so whatever spring force is acting over here, so its effect you are kind of containing in this secondary spring mass system, and you are ensuring that the primary spring mass system, which is this one, that remains as is. Okay, it is not vibrating at all. Okay, so it's all effect is contained by the secondary spring mass system which is attached to it. Okay, which is also called as an absorber. So that is absorber which doesn't have any damping into it, so it is also called as undamped vibration absorber. Okay, so this is kind of a brief introduction to this undamped vibration absorber, and it is applicable whatever that we have just now discussed. Okay, in that setting it is applicable for harmonic frequency omega. Okay, if you are interested in designing an absorber for a range of frequencies omega, then the whatever that we have done just now, that thing itself cannot be applied. Okay, so you need something else along with that. Okay, so this particular absorber will act only for single frequency omega. Okay, so it will give you its absorber behavior, it will show absorber behavior only when external frequency omega is equal to omega a. For any other choice of omega, it will not absorb energy of mass number 1. Okay, mass number 1 is also going to perform motion in that case. Okay, so uh, in that case, so when you have you are interested in having absorber behavior over range of frequencies, then people kind of think of such kind of absorbers whose stiffness can be manipulated, or mass can changing mass is difficult, but changing stiffness can be thought of. Okay, so that is so you need to have some control mechanism in between, and at times you also have to bring in damper into picture, and it kind of opens up entirely new domain, and we are not going to talk about that. Okay, so we'll be stopping on the front of this vibration absorber today, and we'll be meeting next time, okay, with a new topic. Thank you. Bye.